Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And joining me today is Ryan O'Leary. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you here, Ryan. Let's kick this off with having you introduce yourself to our viewers and give us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So my name is Ryan O'Leary. I'm the proposer of Initiative 82. I'm a 12-year DC resident and longtime service industry employee. I've worked in restaurants in the DC area ever since I moved here, all the way up until the pandemic, when I was laid off in March of 2020, along with most all restaurant workers, especially front of house tips workers. After that experience and working with a lot of my coworkers on getting them their unemployment benefits and seeing how everything just changed after COVID, it really made me realize that we needed to try to do this again and eliminate the sub minimum wage for tipped workers and pay everybody $15.20 with tips on top.
Certainly, certainly. So for the viewers who are watching and they've never heard of the DC Committee to Build a Better Restaurant Industry, could you talk about it a little bit?
Absolutely. So this was an initiative that will gradually raise the tipped minimum wage. So right now in DC and in most states, there is a tipped minimum wage and then there is a regular minimum wage. And federally, the tipped minimum wage is $2.13 an hour. And it's been that way since 1990, so over 30 years. In DC, it was raised to $5 an hour when the full minimum wage went up to 15. And so, in the way that DC's minimum wage increases work, it's going to constantly get further and further away from the full minimum wage.
Yeah.
This all comes back from a legacy of slavery, the way that tip minimum wages were first introduced. The famous Pullman Porter car strikes that happened in the early 20th century were one of the first examples of workers defying the lack of wages in tipped workplaces and demanding that they be paid in addition to tips. This actually did already pass in DC as well. A lot of your viewers may be wondering, didn't we already go through with this in 2018? And we did. This was first proposed as Initiative 77. And there was a lot of industry-led opposition and obfuscation and astroturfing around the initiative. But it still passed. It still passed by 10 points when it was voted on by the DC public. But because of the heavy lobbying from the restaurant industry, the DC City Council actually overturned the will of the people and annulled the initiative.
Wow.
Yes. And a lot of people were very mad about that. Even people who were opposed to it were mad about that because of just the principle behind it. We're in a different place now. We have a different city council. Chairman Phil Mendelson has said in a town hall that he will not be leading the effort to overturn this initiative if and when it does pass. The more I talk about it, there were a lot of servers, especially bartenders, during Initiative 77 that were very opposed to this. Now, I chalk that mainly up to management being very opposed to this and scaring a lot of their employees into thinking that tips are going to go away. This is already the law in California, where in LA and San Francisco, the minimum wage is $15. And that's what tipped workers get paid. And let me tell you, they tip in LA and San Francisco. In fact, according to our research, they tip better there than they do here. So that really is a false flag. That's not going to happen. And the more I talk to restaurant workers today in 2022, COVID had a really big effect on them, and they realize now that they're worth more. And a lot of the people who were, vocally opposed to this in the restaurant industry have completely made a 180, including a lot of restaurants themselves.
Certainly. Wow, wow, wow. So how can people watching get involved? How can they get involved and, do something with this and be involved with this?
I'm glad you asked. We have a website, betterrestaurantsdc.org. You can sign up to volunteer. We are still in the petition collection stage. You need about 25 or 26,000 signatures from DC residents in order to get an initiative on the ballot. We have surpassed that number. We're, I think, about over 30,000 signatures at this point. But we're going to keep collecting until the deadline of the February 22nd. So we can always use help with collecting more signatures and getting out the message. You can sign up to volunteer for Get Out the Vote. If you can't donate your time, but you do have some extra money, we'd be happy to accept any donations as well. And yeah, we just want to make sure that you also, this is going to be on the primary ballot. So in June is when you'll be voting on this. And even if you aren't registered with a political party or you're an independent, you can still go and vote. And the only thing on your ballot will be this initiative.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, we will have the links in the description below. So anyone who is watching, you can go ahead and check it out here. Ryan, if people want more information, they go to the same website, correct?
Yes, or they can email me directly at ryan@betterrestaurantsdc.org. I'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for joining me today. It's certainly been a pleasure. And I'm glad that you were able to come here and, let everyone know much more about this initiative and how important it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. To those who are watching, please, you can always follow Team Racine on social media, on all forms at Team Racine. Please like, comment, and subscribe. But most of all, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.